As part one closes, one truth remains: what the world calls scandal, God calls restoration. But the story isn't over. Will Amara remain committed to her healing? Will Dwayne endure the cost of obedience? Can love, redeemed, tested, and refined, truly rise again? Part 2 begins in the aftermath of grace. Dwayne's decision to shelter Amara sparked division in the community and in the church. Whispers grew louder, reputations trembled, and faith was tested on both sides. While the world saw scandal, heaven saw restoration in progress. Inside Dwayne's modest countryside home, Amara began to confront the ruins of her choices. Guilt started to battle with gratitude. Shame met mercy, and Amara wrestled with the God she thought she had lost and a man who refused to abandon her. Meanwhile, Dwayne faced the cost of obedience: alienation, doubt, and the weight of misunderstood love. As the dust of judgment settles, a deeper redemption unfolds. Through sleepless nights, silent prayers, and unexpected tests, both Dwayne and Amara discover that grace doesn't erase the past. It transforms it. Welcome to Part 2. Redemption isn't just about saving someone from sin. It's about standing beside them until they remember who they are. Because grace doesn't wait for perfection. Grace walks into the storm and brings you home. 2 weeks later, Amara returned to her apartment in St. Anne, renewed and surrendered. But every weekend she traveled to Kingston for church. Slowly the community began to soften. Whispers turned to wonder. The same mouths that condemned her began to testify, maybe grace really does restore. Amara started helping again, not from pride but from purpose. She organized outreach for women in crisis, mentored young girls at risk of falling like she did. And when she spoke, her voice carried the weight of a woman who had been found. Dwayne watched her with quiet gratitude, knowing that God had done what sermons couldn't. She wasn't just forgiven, she was transformed. Months passed. Grace had done its quiet work, reshaping what shame had shattered. Amara had found steady footing again, working as a guest relations officer at another hotel, one of St. Anne's most regarded resorts. Her smile had returned, softer now. Her laughter carried a weight it never had before, the weight of a woman who knew what it meant to be forgiven. Dwayne visited often, never pushing, never demanding, just presence, and love that looked more like prayer than pursuit. Then one afternoon in the garden courtyard of that hotel, surrounded by bougainvillea and ocean breeze, Dwayne knelt on one knee. No choir, no camera crew, just two hearts, one question, and the quiet hum of destiny. Whispers spread quickly. Some smiled, others frowned. Because everyone knew, Amara's past still lingered in rumors and side glances. And when Dwayne announced their engagement, the world he loved turned its back. His friends questioned his judgment. His parents wept in private. And even his pastor, the man who once taught him to listen to God, called him into the office and said, "Son, are you sure this is wisdom?" But Dwayne had already settled it in prayer. He wasn't chasing approval. He was following instructions. He remembered the words that first sent him down that rain-soaked road. Go again, not to condemn, to cover. So he chose her fearlessly and in faith, because what the world saw as foolish, God called faithful. And in that moment, beneath the Caribbean sun, tears on her cheeks and hands trembling, Amara whispered yes. In the gentle hills of St. Anne, where cane fields swayed beneath Caribbean skies, a wedding unfolded like a psalm. Pastor Dwayne Thompson, young, pure-hearted, a man after God's own heart, stood before the altar, sweat on his brow, love in his eyes, and beside him stood Amara Sinclair, beautiful, radiant, mysterious. Her past a mist, her eyes fire and shadow. Now before the same God who once broke her to heal her, they stood, no longer sinner and saint, but two redeemed souls bound by grace. Every vow was redemption spoken aloud, every tear a baptism of memory. As they joined hands, Dwayne whispered a line no one else heard. Grace brought me here, and grace will keep us. When the pastor said, "What God has joined," it wasn't just a wedding. It was Hosea's story reborn. Love renewed, covenant restored. They walked out beneath the sunlight, laughter rising like worship. And though some hearts stayed skeptical, heaven stood to applaud, because what began in scandal ended in surrender. Because grace doesn't wait for perfection, grace waits for surrender. And when it finds it, heaven calls it marriage. Marriage was sweet at first, like morning dew on cane fields before the heat of the day. Dwayne and Amara did everything together. Morning devotions before sunrise, evening walks through their St. Andrew neighborhood, laughter at the dinner table, prayer before bed. They learned each other's rhythms, her fire, his calm, like grace and truth learning to dance. People admired them. Church members whispered blessings instead of rumors now. And when Dwayne preached, hearts opened because his scars carried proof of mercy. Amara sang again, not for applause, but from a place only grace could reach. She joined the praise team, her voice trembling at first, but soon strong enough to lift others. She even began teaching Sunday school, the same woman who once ran from conviction, now leading little hearts to the cross. Blessings followed like rain after drought. Amara was transferred to a prestigious Kingston hotel, her excellence undeniable, and Dwayne received a promotion, general manager, respected, balanced, faithful. Dwayne's family and friends, who once doubted her, began to smile again, even inviting her to family dinners and calling her daughter. The same church that once whispered her downfall now testified about her deliverance. Because of her story, faith came alive again. Young girls stopped hiding their shame, men confessed, couples prayed, and hearts returned to God. Everything was good, so good that it almost felt like Eden again. But even in Eden, the serpent watches. At first it was just exhaustion. Long days at the Kingston Hotel, endless meetings, demanding guests, artificial smiles. She'd come home drained, too tired to talk, too weary to pray. Dwayne noticed. He'd ask, "You all right, babe?" She'd smile and say, "Just tired." But tired hearts, left unchecked, become silent battlegrounds. Dwayne's promotion kept him busy too. More responsibilities, late nights, calls that never ended. The home that once rang with laughter now echoed with busyness. Love still lived there, but it was tired, and tired love is vulnerable love. The church still saw the smiles, the matching outfits, the joined hands, the perfect couple. But behind closed doors, Amara's eyes started drifting again. Not always to people, but to the version of herself she thought she had lost. The woman who once commanded attention now felt unseen. The woman who once sang for healing now sang for habit. One evening, while Dwayne prepared a sermon on forgiveness, Amara scrolled through old photos of her university days, hotel events, laughter that didn't require faith to feel real. A message appeared, an old client, smooth words, familiar tone. She hesitated, then replied. It seemed harmless at first, just small talk, memories, nothing deep, but small talk builds bridges the enemy loves to cross. Dwayne still prayed every morning, every night, but sometimes his prayers turned into worry. He could sense it, the distance, the drift, the spirit that once glowed now dimming. He didn't know what was happening, but heaven did, and the God who restored her once was watching again. It began with late replies, then late nights dot, then comma no replies at all. The air in the Thompson home changed. The laughter was gone, the prayers grew shorter. The presence that once wrapped the house in peace now felt distant, replaced by whispers, by excuses, by unspoken things. Dwayne knew the sound of absence. It was the same sound that once filled his heart before Christ found him. He didn't need proof. His spirit already knew. Amara's messages became secret. Her perfume changed. Her tone softened, not for him, but for someone else. She said it was work, late meetings, important guests, but the Spirit whispered otherwise. One night, while preparing his Sunday sermon on faithfulness in the wilderness, Dwayne's phone buzzed. An unknown number sent a message. No words, just an image. Her, Amara, at a hotel, not in uniform, not alone. His chest tightened. The page before him blurred. He wanted to scream, to rage, to walk away, but all he could do was whisper, "Lord, not again." He closed his eyes. The Spirit spoke again, the same voice that once told Hosea, "Go again, love her." And in that moment, Dwayne realized, some callings don't make sense to men, only to God. Grace was about to walk back into fire, again. He didn't call her out. He didn't tell the church. He just fasted and prayed, every night on his knees until his tears soaked the floorboards. He prayed not for her return, but for her rescue. Meanwhile, Amara drifted deeper. The same man who promised to understand her soon began to control her. He paid her bills, bought her gifts, but demanded silence and secrecy. Her heart, once full of worship, now beat under the weight of guilt and golden chains. And still, Dwayne prayed. He prayed through the silence, through the shame, because love that mirrors God doesn't chase comfort, it chases redemption. He ignored the signs until the whispers turned to evidence. One night, she didn't come home. Said she was visiting a cousin in Spanish Town, but someone saw her at the Pegasus Hotel with a man who wasn't her husband. Amara never thought she'd become this, a wife with a part-time ring and full-time secrets. Amara thought she could control it. She thought she could keep the old Amara buried under church clothes and memory verses. But sin doesn't stay buried. It resurrects when the heart forgets why it was crucified in the first place. The man? Marcus, a high-flying client from her old hotel. Rich, reckless, romantic. He didn't ask about her marriage. He didn't care, and she didn't stop him. For a while, she felt alive again. Wanted, desired. But what she called freedom was just another cage with gold-painted bars. Meanwhile, Dwayne prayed. The kind of prayers people whisper in the dark when words feel too heavy for air. And so the preacher met real pain, the one a preacher doesn't preach about, but the prayer that humbles and breaks you and leaves you asking why obedience hurts so much. Nights turned into mornings with his Bible still open, tear-stained pages curling at the corners. And in that sacred stillness, God spoke again. Love her still, like I loved Israel, though she played the harlot. She will chase her lovers, but not overtake them. Dwayne trembled. He knew those words and what they meant. Obedience was coming again. And he realized that this time, it would cost more than his pride. At night, he drove through Kingston, past the very hotels he once passed with pride, now haunted by the scent of her perfume and the ghost of her laughter. He never confronted her. He just prayed. God, if you told Hosea to love a harlot, how do I love her without breaking? He waited for anger to drown out obedience, but mercy kept winning. The glamour she experienced grew cold. The fine dinners, the perfumes, the jewelry, they all began to lose their shine. Marcus became busy, and when he was with her, even during their moments of intimacy, his attention was elsewhere. Eyes fixed on his phone, whispering calls that ended with laughter she wasn't part of. She told herself it was business, but deep down she knew she wasn't his priority. She was his pastime. Soon the gifts stopped coming. The surprise visits ended. The dates canceled with excuses that sounded like lies. And every time she asked a question, Marcus's voice hardened. You knew what this was, Amara. Don't act new. What is this? An interrogation? Aren't you a married woman? He'd turn away, leaving her with silence as heavy as judgment. Amara sat in that silence, hearing her own heart break, softly, repeatedly. Her heart shattered again, this time not from rejection, but realization. She wasn't being loved, she was being used. Still, she couldn't let go. And as the days passed and the tears flowed, she heard the whisper of God over her life. She will chase her lovers, but not overtake them. She chased him, but every door she knocked on was already closing. The hotel job that once brought prestige turned sour. A coworker whispered to the manager about her reputation. Then the demotion came. The paycheck shrank, bills piled up, and calls from debt collectors became daily background noise. Then came the messages, unknown numbers. And Marcus? He'd moved on, to someone younger, sexier, easier to impress. Pictures of Marcus with other women smiling, holding hands and kissing. At first she refused to believe it, but denial can only be blind for so long. Each image cut deeper than the last until there was no strength left to pretend. She dropped the phone, covering her face with trembling hands. Tears soaked the silk blouse that once smelled of his cologne. In that moment, the glitter turned to dust and the laughter to echoes, and the love she thought she found revealed itself as lust wrapped in lies. The same crowd that once praised her beauty now passed her by without a glance. The city outside her window was alive with lights, but inside her heart, darkness settled in. She whispered into the silence, "God, how did I get here?" Her tears fell freely now, not just for Marcus, but for herself, for what she traded, for what she lost, for who she became. The woman who once stood before church altars was now bowing before regret. The songs she once sang of grace echoed in her memory, haunting her with truth. For the first time in months, Amara prayed, not with fancy words, but with broken ones. "Lord, I just want to come home." One night she came home, and he was waiting. Not with rage, not with fists. He didn't ask where she'd been. He didn't accuse. He simply looked at her, like Hosea must have looked at Gomer, his heart shattered, but still open. And that broke her more than any slap ever could, because sometimes love's silence hurts more than judgment's shout. They sat there in wordless ache, two souls separated by secrets and pain, but held together by a vow neither fully understood. When she finally went to bed that night, her tears came harder than ever, not because she felt guilty, but because she had been loved purely and still ran. But because of her shame and guilt, she decided to leave, and this time for good. Days turned to weeks, weeks to months dot, and the woman who once sang on the church stage was now wandering through the noise of Kingston's nightlife, a ghost of her former self. She moved from one room to another, one man to the next. Each promise faded faster than the last. Destitute, broke, alone. Her family turned their backs, friends stopped calling, and the men who promised protection only took what was left of her dignity. Amara had become a prisoner of her own escape. Meanwhile, Dwayne kept showing up to church, kept preaching the gospel, kept lifting his hands even when they trembled. People thought he was fine. They saw the sermons, not the scars. They heard the faith, not the fracture. His parents told him to move on. His friends said, "You've done your part, man. Let her go." But every night when he knelt before God, her name still found its way between his tears. And then one night during fasting and prayer, he felt it again. That same voice and same whisper that had followed him through the rain. Go again, not to condemn, to cover. She will not come to you. You must go to her. Buy her back. Redeem her. He didn't question this time, didn't argue, didn't calculate what it might cost. He simply obeyed. He picked up his phone and called her number, the same one he'd saved under my heart long ago. No answer. Then finally, a weak voice on the other end. "Dwayne?" Her tone cracked, fragile, drenched in exhaustion. "It's me," he said quietly. "Just wanted to know if you're all right." A pause, then a sob. "I'm not," she whispered. "I don't even know who I am anymore." He didn't try to fix her, didn't remind her of promises or pain. He just listened, like grace does. And the next morning, he went looking for her. Through narrow lanes and broken streets, he searched, asking quietly, showing her picture to anyone who might have seen her. Until one woman pointed toward his small apartment above a liquor shop. "That one up there," she said, "used to be pretty. Now just lost." Dwayne climbed the stairs slowly, each step heavier than the last. And when the door opened, he found her. The woman he'd once called wife, now thinner, weaker, eyes swollen from too many nights without peace. She tried to hide her face, but he didn't let her. He stepped closer, knelt beside her, and whispered, "You don't belong here, Amara. Come home." She sobbed because she was found. Dwayne didn't scold or lecture. He simply helped her up, wrapped his jacket around her shoulders, and led her out of the darkness. Neighbors watched from doorways as they passed, whispers rising, rumors already forming. But heaven wasn't watching a scandal that day. Heaven was watching a covenant restored. Because real love doesn't wait for perfection. It walks into the filth, finds what's broken, and pays the price to bring it home. That night, she rested in grace for the first time in months, and Dwayne, sitting beside her, whispered one final prayer. Thank you, Lord. You taught me how to love like you love. Heaven smiled because a story once written in shame was now rewritten in redemption. Healing doesn't happen overnight, Dot. It comes in whispers, through prayer, through patience, through grace that refuses to give up. Amara began the slow journey back to life. Not the life she lost, but the one she once started to live. Days turned into weeks of counseling, fasting, and prayer. Dwayne never pushed. He just waited, listened, and loved. Every Sunday, she'd slip quietly into the back pew. Every Wednesday, she joined the women's prayer circle, and somewhere between her tears and her testimonies, the woman once labeled fallen became a vessel of hope. She began helping others, women who carried their own scars, their own stories of shame and second chances. And Dwayne, he preached differently now from a place of pain, healed by mercy. The same man who once spoke about holiness now spoke about hope for the unholy. He told the story, not in detail, but enough for the church to understand that redemption has a name, and that name is Jesus. Church, do you remember the prophet Hosea, the man God told to marry a woman who would break his heart again and again? And when she left him, when she sold herself, when she became a scandal to his name, God said, go again, love her as I have loved Israel. Now that story, it wasn't just about Hosea and Gomer. It was about God and us, because every one of us has walked away. Every one of us has chased other loves, bowed to other idols, broken his heart in ways no one else can see. But still, he comes after us, still redeems us, still calls us his own. He pauses. The crowd is still. The story of Hosea and Gomer isn't just a love story. It's the gospel in disguise. A holy God loving an unfaithful people, a faithful husband chasing a wandering bride, a relentless grace that refuses to give up. Every time Gomer ran, Hosea went again. Every time she sold herself short, he paid the price to buy her back. Why? Because real love doesn't chase pleasure, it chases purpose. It doesn't cover sin, it covers the sinner. And some of you standing here today, you've run too. Maybe not to a person, but to pride, to addiction, to bitterness, to fear. You think you've gone too far. You think God's tired of chasing you. But let me tell you, the same God who told Hosea to go again is still saying, I'll go again for you. If God can love us through our unfaithfulness, then we can love again. We can forgive again. We can live again. Then came the day of renewal, a day not of glamour, but of glory. Before the same church that had once whispered, before the same people who once pitied and judged, Dwayne stood beside Amara, not to condemn, but to cover. He looked at her, voice steady but trembling with love. Amara, I loved you when you were lost. I love you now that you're found, and by God's grace, I'll love you still. Not for what you've done, but for what He's done in us. The church wept because they saw redemption standing at the altar, alive and breathing. Months later, under the golden blush of a Caribbean sunset, revival found its way to the shoreline. Families gathered beneath the open sky. Children ran barefoot in the sand. The sound of steel drums and worship songs mingled with the rhythm of the waves. And there, on a small wooden stage by the sea, Pastor Dwayne Thompson stood, Bible in hand, fire in his voice, compassion in his eyes. He preached with purpose. He spoke of a God who still goes again, a God who redeems what shame tried to destroy. Amara stood among the worship team, her voice trembling through the microphone. No longer the woman of scandal, but the woman of grace reborn. Her tears sparkled under the golden light as she sang, "You rescued me so I could stand and sing. I am a child of God." As the waves rolled in, so did forgiveness. As the sun set, grace rose. Men and women stepped into the water, some trembling, some weeping, ready to bury their past beneath the tide and rise into new life. And there, standing waist deep in the ocean, Dwayne lifted his hand toward heaven and declared, "To God be the glory, great things he hath done." From the shore, Amara watched, hands clasped, heart full, tears gliding down her cheeks, not of sorrow, but of thanksgiving. She whispered softly, "Thank you, Lord. You healed me to help others." The wind carried the sound of worship across the ocean. The people sang, the waves applauded, and heaven smiled once more. A year passed, quietly, beautifully. The wounds that once bled became the testimony that now breathed. Amara had found her rhythm again in purpose. She worked as a customer service representative at a Kingston agency, her calm voice now carrying grace instead of guilt. In the evening, she attended classes in women's advocacy, determined to become the voice she once needed. She also opened a small part-time ministry business called Beauty from Ashes Initiative, a safe space where women and young girls could heal, learn, and start again. Every week, she mentored young women, teaching them not just how to rebuild their lives, but how to believe again. Her story spread, and soon she was invited to speak at women's conferences across Jamaica, not as a scandal, but as a survivor turned servant. And Dwayne, the man who once wrestled with obedience, was now walking in overflow, promoted at work, trusted in ministry, invited to preach across islands and nations, not because of perfection, but because of endurance. His sermons carried weight now, the kind that only comes from scars that have healed under the hand of God. Together, Dwayne and Amara became a living parable, Hosea and Gomer reborn, grace and truth intertwined. And so, beloved, this is not just their story, it's ours, because all of us have fallen short, all of us have wandered, and yet God, in His mercy, still says, go again. He still calls us back from shame. He still restores what sin tried to bury. He still writes new beginnings over our broken chapters. So if you're listening and you failed, if you've run too far or loved the wrong way, hear this. You are not beyond redemption. You are not too dirty to be cleansed. You are not too lost to be found. Love still goes again. Grace still works, and the same God who healed Hosea's home, who rebuilt Amara and Dwayne's hearts, is still in the business of restoring broken things. Because when God redeems a life, He doesn't just heal a person, He heals a generation. To God be the glory. Great things He hath done. Hosea 14:4. I will heal their backsliding. I will love them freely. We have now come to the end of this drama series, Redeeming Love. He said church, she found hotel, where grace meets purpose and restoration takes its final form. If this story has stirred your heart, please support the channel. Like, share, and subscribe for more modern Jamaican parables that uplift and inspire. Don't forget to leave a comment. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Let's keep the fire of faith, hope, and kindness burning strong across the world. Together we can tell stories that change lives and build a better world. Blessings from Jamaica.